were kicked out of the new nation states, or of the Eastern Bloc countries in Eastern Europe. And they arrived in very large numbers between 1945 and 1950 in Western Germany. These groups were absorbed fairly quickly. They spoke the German language. Everybody recognized them as part of German culture, as part of the German nation. They formed a very important political bloc because they voted conservatively as a bloc. And they are extremely influential in German politics. What happened after, in the 1950s and 60s, was that many of these ethnic Germans residing in the Soviet Union were expelled to Siberia, primarily to Kazakhstan, by Stalin, because they were considered collaborators with the German enemy, and their communities were dispersed and they were sent to Siberia. With the collapse of the Soviet Union, these so-called ethnic German expellees started applying in great numbers to return to their home, which was Germany. And due to ideas about who counts as German, ideas about German nationality, these expellees have a separate category in German immigration law, which guarantees that upon arrival in Germany, they are granted citizenship automatically. For a certain number of years, they did not have to prove that they were part of any of these ethnic groups. They did not even have to prove, in the case of these former Soviet Germans, that they spoke the language, because it was argued due to the breakup of these traditional communities by Stalin, they had lost the language, and it was not for their own fault. So they did not have to prove any knowledge of German culture. They did not have to prove any knowledge of the German language. They just needed to say, I am part of this community. They arrived in Germany. They were given citizenship, not only citizenship, startup money, all kinds of funds, actually. So between 1987 and 1999, 2.4 million so-called former German expellees arrived in Germany and needed to be integrated. And most of these only spoke Russian, but they were considered ethnic Germans and received all the privileges that come with that. In 2008, these are the latest numbers, there were 15.6 out of 82.1 million inhabitants are now people with a migration background. This term includes people with one grandparent who is not German. So it goes back 2 generations. That is 19% of the German population now, actually. And that is something that we sometimes tend to forget. When we think of Germany, we still think of it as a fairly homogeneous ethnic country. That is actually, the facts do not bear that out anymore. So with all of these developments happening in the 1990s, it became clear that a reform of residency and citizenship law is required. And here, this is where the expellees, the category of the expellees comes back again with a vengeance. Germany, as some of you might know, operated until recently on a fairly pure form of jus sanguinis, meaning you had to be of German blood if you wanted to be a German citizen or apply for German citizenship. The US has the other form of citizenship law, which is jus soli. If you're born on US territory, you will be granted citizenship automatically. The situation in Germany throughout the 1990s was such that children of guest workers who were born in the country and might have been born to parents who were already born in the country did not automatically get German citizenship. They could apply, but there was a process. They were not automatically granted citizenship. They were completely acculturated in Germany. The Russian Germans coming from the former Soviet Union who claimed German descent but had not lived in Germany, did not speak the language, did not know anything about the culture, arrived and were automatically granted German citizenship. And that situation became untenable. And in 2000 and in 2005, there was two major reforms that tried to introduce a modified form of jus soli, meaning that children born in Germany of parents who had been residing legally in Germany for a certain number of years were automatically granted citizenship. It's still more restrictive than the citizenship law here in the US, if it stays the way it is now and isn't changed. The integration course. So this is where language comes in again. In the 2005 Immigration Act, what was specified, and this was a demand by the Conservative Party, was that every foreigner applying for residency in Germany or applying for citizenship would have to take a so-called integration course. The integration, and pass it. The integration course consists of 600 hours of language instruction. And this was a prerequisite for, or is a prerequisite for the extension or the renewal of residency permits and also for naturalization later.